Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadroo.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. Need more than a sip today. Been a long couple days, a lot of work preparing for the interviews, and had some just awesome interviews. One with Kara Cassidy of Camelot Project, talking about the road to Roota, the gold in the Grand Canyon. Alien technology, you name it, we covered it in that interview. You can find that interview. Just go to YouTube and do a search for Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, Big Square, Golden Grand Canyon. It's right here, this one. And it goes almost 2 hours, so we cover a lot of stuff. It's my first interview with a kind of that alternative universe of space aliens, secret space projects, all that kind of stuff. I believe in a lot of it. Absolutely, there's enough proof. But weaving in the Road to Roota stuff, which is based on facts, not people telling me, hey, I know about this gold in the Grand Canyon, you should talk about it. No, it's some facts that I discovered and put together. I tried to weave that into what Carrie's knowledge on that is, and it all meshed. And the interview went great, so go check that out. And then we have, of course, the not to be missed Three Amigos video. This is over 2 hours long. We could have gone on. Truthfully, Joe, there was technical issues in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. So we cut out probably 30, 45 minutes of stuff we talked about. We could have gone on for days. And it's an awesome discussion. Clip is amazing. Joe is the greatest interviewer out there. Guy cracks me up every day. Definitely go subscribe to Jason Ipfor's YouTube channel and tell all your friends to do the same, because he provides a lot of information. And he's knee deep in the cryptos and looking for new cryptos, and does interviews, pre-ICO interviews and all that. I use it as a tool and as entertainment. So go to Jason Ipfor's channel and sign up. But the discussion last night with Cliff was it was awesome. It really was. And Cliff can talk about any subject in the world, and you think you know about something, and then he'll break it down into the real deep woo-woo stuff. And his discussion on the dual isotopes of silver and the single isotope of gold had my mind spinning, and the high-tech uses of silver that have been hidden from us. And on that note, wait, real quick, on that note, V, the guerrilla economist, is going to have to pay up. Woohoo! Trump says he will release the final set of documents on Kennedy's assassination. These have been withheld from the public for over 50 years. Are they the real documents? What's in it? There's a reason it was kept quiet for over 50 years. And there's a lot, it could go anywhere, literally. It could lead more towards the mafia, more towards Cuba, more towards the CIA, more towards Robert F. Kennedy. Is a theory out there that he was working on a project to deal with the Cuba situation, and some rogue elements took out the president. It could go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. What do I think will happen? I think it'll probably expose that our government was involved to a certain extent, either probably the CIA or the deep state. But what that does is it opens up everything else to question. So the 9/11 investigation. Remember, the Warren Commission investigated everything there was to know about the Kennedy assassination, and then came out with, it's a single gunman. So even the government commissions lied to us. So what about the 9/11 Commission? What about all these false flag shootings? Vegas is just blowing up sideways because all the information they're telling us is wrong, and then now they're having to correct timelines. And there was so many eyewitnesses in other casinos seeing people run through the casino with guns firing. And they're saying, why isn't anybody else talking about this? At the exact same time, clearly there's a conspiracy going on. Conspiracy meaning two or more people conspiring to do something illegal. There was much more than just the single shooter, the Paddock guy. That's a concocted story that has fallen apart already. And now the sheriff in Las Vegas is trying to backtrack, and they're saying it's an open investigation on many fronts. I think the calm before the storm is exactly what the release of the Kennedy assassination documents will. The storm that will be proven that the deep state has been uh, controlling our lives, perpetrating false flags, you name it, they've been doing it. And it's going to come out in the open. If it comes out in the open with Kennedy, I would expect everybody in the world would be demanding of giving us the real information on all these other potential false flags. They might not be false flags. We might have got the true story, but there's about 20 of them that have happened since Kennedy's death that are suspicious and swept under the rug. So I think every one of those should be reopened, re-examined to find out what really happened, because clearly our government has been lying to us. And those of you who hate Trump, this wouldn't have happened under Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton would have said, okay, another 25 years of putting this stuff on the wraps, and our lives would have been destroyed by then, and the world would be completely different. There'd be no hope at all of getting out from under the bad guys. The bad guys meaning the controllers of the currency, the controllers of our markets, the controllers of our lives, our food supply, our education, the deep state. That's why it's so hard, is the deep state is so ingrained in all that. And the media. There's a great interview, I forgot who it was by, just recently, a CIA guy who admitted to going around to over 40 heads of media and editors of the large media. He'd go around with a sack of money and pay them off in cash for doing exactly what he tells them to do. Following up the stories, they all cleared, like it was the Clinton emails. Had one email that said, "Oh, you got to go," or Podesta emails. You got to go clear this through the 7th floor, the deep state people, or the secret government they called it, on the 7th floor of the CIA building. What? You got to go clear things through them to make sure that they approve of it before it gets released to the public. Yeah, and that's the first place Trump took out the 7th floor of some CIA operation. So, yes, the truth is coming out. It's very exciting. Definitely go to the Three Amigos video, and we talk a lot about the truth coming out. And we talk a lot about the cryptos and what's going on with the cryptos and the potential for some of these cryptos to go absolutely bonkers. Veritasium, we talk a lot about Veritasium because there was a paper that came out all critical of Veritasium. And it was the only thing this entity created, and Cliff was all, there's just a lot of suspicion. Yes, Reggie had a ICO. He didn't have an ICO. He had a crypto that he had started before Veritasium. It didn't work. The regulators came down on him. Clearly, they're not coming down on him now, and he's working with the regulators. In Cliff's data, it has governments. Reggie doesn't have to run around. In the very near future, Reggie's not going to have to run around and teach and explain to people what Veritasium can do for their country and for their exchanges and injecting truth and honesty. The governments are going to come to him, and then you're going to see Veritasium go bonkers. I think Cliff's data has it going higher than Bitcoin, and Bitcoin right now is at last I look. I haven't looked at it since I woke up. It was hovering around 6,000. If it falls back to 2,000, I don't care. I'm in this for the long haul. I know it's going to be volatile, but I also understand what this is doing. The change from the old system with cloaking and dishonesty and market rigging and everything being done behind the scenes by the Fed and the Treasury, and you're not allowed to see any transaction that is larger than $100, and all that stuff going on behind the scenes was purely criminal. And now it's being brought out into the open with the blockchain technology, so you can see every transaction. You can see when J.P. Morgan dumps, billions of dollars worth of silver on the market to crash the price from $50 down to $20. You can see it all, where it is, and then people will jump up and down and say, no, this is not normal trading. This is this entity doing that. That's the way the world is going. And Veritasium will be in the right place at the right time, and the right time is inching up. I'm very excited about what Trump is doing by releasing this information. I don't know what's in it, but I heard it's 30,000 documents. It's got to be important if these are the ones they've chosen to hide for 50 years. I'm real excited about that. All right, and for those of you interested in the more on the gold in the Grand Canyon stuff, for the private road members, I'm releasing a video today outlining a bunch of the proof that I have, and with links and pictures and the whole 9 yards. So if you want to subscribe to the Road to Roota, just go right there, subscribe today, click on that, and you will get this beautiful silver coin. That's Roota right there, running down the Silver Brick Road to the Federal Reserve. And look over in the corner there. There's the cave. The cave in the side of the Grand Canyon that Kerry Cassidy and I talked about. And there's Roota, and the coin is numbered on the bottom. And no, you can't get this, at your local coin shop unless somebody has sold one. I heard one went for like $150 or something crazy like that, which is cool. But the only way, I'm not selling them retail, the only way you get it is to subscribe, 1-year subscription to the Road to Roota. Just hit subscribe today. And if you want to kind of get a hint of what I'm talking about on the private road today, you can go to the resources tab on the left side of the Road to Roota site. And here we have all kinds of information on some of the secrets that I've discovered and other people have discovered that I think are important. And right here is the 1912 Grand Canyon Gold article from the New York Times. You click on that, and there it is. 1912, if you look here at the bottom, this is actually, you can still find it at the link to the New York. This is actually, this is the link to the New York Times right here. New York Times, June 19th, 1912. If they ever make this article disappear, I've made copies of it. I've sent it all over the place, so they're not going to make it disappear. This is in 1912. About a year before the creation of the Federal Reserve. I think this has a lot to do with why Woodrow Wilson was talked into creating the Federal Reserve, because he was very much anti-banker. But a release of billions and billions and billions of ounces of gold into the monetary system, when at the time in 1900 there was about, I think it was about 240, 250 million ounces of gold. Half of that in circulation as coin, and the other half at the central banks of the world. This would have blown that system apart. It would have caused chaos all over the world. So Woodrow Wilson was talked into agreeing, and people in Congress were talked into agreeing that they're going to shut the doors on this. They're not going to mine the gold in the Grand Canyon. We're going to put it away for a future time. And in the meantime, we're going to let the Federal Reserve run the game. And we're getting near the end of that. That's another reason why, with the Kerry Cassidy interview, we talked about all the Egyptian artifacts and the pyramids in the Grand Canyon and the cave that Kincaid and Jordan found of the Smithsonian, all that stuff from the Arizona Gazette article. And if you look at the back of the $1 bill, that's why there's a pyramid on the back. It all, if you take the facts and you put the facts together, you can create a story of how this all went down. And that's what I've been trying to do at the Road to Roota. But here's the article. It gets so specific. It says, tell of vast riches in the Grand Canyon. Men engaged in gold dredging operations expect to astonish the world. They built steamboat placed in the Great Chasm, large capital only can extract gold from the silt. Imagine putting it was a 50-ton steamboat into one of the most rural areas of the Grand Canyon. They had to bring it in on horseback on wagons, and then construct this. And they had 2 barges as well, because they had to get coal to fire up the steam engines, to hydraulically excavate down there, and it's huge money was needed back in the time. The steamboat was called the Spencer, something H. Spencer. I've got it. You'll find out all about it if you're a private road member today. But yeah, and I got so much information on that because it was involved in a lawsuit in the late 30s when Utah was trying to get the property rights to the Grand Canyon, this part of the Grand Canyon. They sued the federal government, saying it was non-navigable, or it was navigable waters, because of this. Charles H. Spencer was the name of the steamboat, and it was like an $8 million steamboat, which is gigantic money in 1912. I mean, that's crazy money when you think about a single gold piece was $20. So how much gold did it cost to ship that the steamboat and create it and put it back together in the on the Colorado River? Crazy stuff, but amazingly cool because all the pieces fit together. And if you look down here in this article, it says for several years, operations have been carried on quietly by a concern largely financed out of Chicago. And there's been much amusement among other miners who did not believe the canyon would yield anything worthwhile. Now, however, reports are coming out of that region which indicate that it may figure largely in the production of gold within the near future. Large operations are already underway, and it's understood that much of the capital is to be furnished to increase the plants that have been established. And the real interesting stuff is down here. Talks about who's involved in it. They're coming out of Lee's Ferry, Arizona, which is like, it's a part of the Grand Canyon near where the confluence of the Colorado River and the Little Colorado River join. That's where Kincaid found the cave and all the Egyptian artifacts. So if you look to, this is what the, let me find where the head of this project, here's a quote. It is the section that legend has it has a traveler by wagon once remarked, "I don't want to be disrespectful to God, but I think I'd have taken part of that seventh day and finished up this place." It was so rugged in the Grand Canyon, beyond rugged. It was crazy. So just imagine trying to extract gold and trying to bring huge machinery there in 1910 timeframe. For the treatment of the gold-bearing silt, a large dredge was carried across the desert in sections and installed. Next came the problem of getting coal to operate it. A good vein was found in Cottonwood Canyon, 20 miles above the ferry, but in order to reach the mine, a road 80 miles long had to be built in and around the gorges leading to the river. The hauling proved expensive, and so the concern had a steamboat of 50 tons and two 100-ton barges built in San Francisco, sent by train and wagon and set up. These now operate between the mine and the dredge. That's the lawsuit that Utah was trying to claim in 1931. That's the lawsuit. Utah said, yes, it is navigable, so we own the gold in the Grand Canyon. Let's see, what else? Here's the guy who's been in charge of it. F.D. Watson, who has been conducting operations for the Chicago concern, has come out of Lee's Ferry to report to his principals and make further arrangements to carry on the work. He declares that when the whole field has been developed, the supply of gold in the world will have been increased by billions. I know that it will be difficult to comprehend that I have a correct conception of the wealth that is buried in the banks of the Colorado Canyon, he says, but I can demonstrate every statement I make to be absolutely true, and that my chief shortcoming is the inability to comprehend the vastness of the riches that lie along this great stream. At Lee's Ferry are mountainous deposits of marl silts that contain the wealth. Surmounting these is a sort of capstone formation that contains equal values. These harder formations, however, are a little more difficult of treatment. Underneath this stony cap is the softer silt that practically melts like sugar under the hydraulic treatment. Experimentation and tests repeated and rechecked 1,000 times over have demonstrated conclusively that the soft silt contains 50 cents per yard in gold. Remember, gold was money back then. 1 ounce of gold was $20, so you do the math on 50 cents per yard would be, what, $40 as far as, it would be, 1/40th of an ounce of silver per yard. With a little silver, and strange as it may seem, considerable quicksilver. Exposed to the site are billions of yards of silt containing more billions of dollars worth of wealth, a precious metal than the human mind can possibly grasp in computation. So it goes on, and And then up the stream, it says there's even more billions. And yes, there is a lot of gold. Yes, and I have done all the work. Not all of it. Obviously, I'm still finding stuff. This is the exact spot that supposedly the largest aircraft accident in the world at the time in 1956 happened, and they had to shut off this area of the Grand Canyon again, and helicopters were bringing debris in and out for weeks. So really exciting stuff. A lot of revelations coming down the pike. I think this baby's going to kick it off with Trump releasing these documents. This is on the 26th, so it's next week that the Kennedy documents will be released, and they're held at the National Archives. So I have a feeling that these are the real deal. And when they are released, they're not going to release it. And no, here's one copy. It's all going to be one dump. They're going to dump the files online, and then everybody and the mother's going to try to get their hands on it. So who knows? There'll probably be a computer log jam, I would guess. Anyway, this is Big Weir. I've been really busy lately getting this information out, having discussions. Really exciting time for humanity. We are going to break away from these criminals, and a lot of people are going to go to jail very soon. I heard there was another 150 pedophile arrests in Hollywood last week, and then 200 the week before that. So yes, and it is working up the chain. Harvey Weinstein supposedly is singing like a canary about people within Washington, people within Hollywood, and it's all going to come crumbling down very soon. And this is the time. It's the time for humanity to break free of these criminals. So best of luck to everybody behind the scenes. This is Big Weir, roadtoroota.com. If you want more information, go to roadtoroota.com. That's the homepage right there. This top section is all free, and there's archives below it. This is all the private road stuff, a lot of Bitcoin stuff in there, my top 10 recommendations. Definitely check out the private road subscription. Hit subscribe today, and I will send you one paper PPT token. That's a Populous token. And this silver coin, the coolest silver coin ever made, with the gold in the Grand Canyon right over there. This is Vic Weir. I will talk to you guys later.